Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing Fragments of Horror by Junji Ito. This is a short story horror collection by one of the masters of horror. I really enjoy Junji Ito's work. This is a Japanese manga and I got this one cheap off of eBay, well, relatively cheap. I have read numerous things by Junji Ito and I've come to the realization that I will never ever be disappointed in any of his work. That I will never come across anything by him, whether it's a short story or a novel, that I will be disappointed in. He always surprises me, he always fills me with pleasure and joy and intrigue. And yes, his stories do scare me, they do fill me with terror. But that's one thing that I like about his stories and his artwork and his forms of expressing himself through his mangas, is that he has that ability to actually make you feel comfortable in a everyday situation and a everyday occurrence that you do on a daily basis, and lure you into a false sense of security and comfort, and then right at the last minute when you aren't expecting it, he throws something at you that is really scary and completely and utterly weird as hell. So before I get into this video and tell you what this is all about, today's video, let me just say that this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding not just Fragments of Horror, but Junji Ito as well. And of course, this is going to be a spoiler-free video as well. So let's just have a look at the cover. The cover is gorgeous. I don't know whether you can quite see it. I think my ring light's going to help me out with this, but you can see on the page there's all these indentations and patterns and pictures imprinted on the cover. Not sure if you can quite see that. Hopefully you can. And that is really cool. That is actually a picture in the manga itself, and the cover is fantastic. It really is. Every single element of this cover is represented by a story in this book. All these characters and figures and objects that you see on the cover are from a story within this wonderful collection. And of course, this is a hardback. Not sure whether you can get this as a paperback, but I had to get it off of eBay because it's one of these ones which is kind of weird. You can't get it in some of the shops, or the majority of them anyway. So when you take off the dust jacket, it's just a plain white on the inside. That's the flaps as well. Really cool. Really detailed. I love it. I love it so much. And this is the naked hardback. And you see all these images on here. These are the exact images that are imprinted on the dust jacket, which is really nice. So it's really detailed. I love this artwork so much, and it is so beautiful. So these stories aren't connected whatsoever. You could theorize in your head that they are from the same world and universe from Junji Ito, but they have got no connection with each other as far as I'm aware. So before I show you the stories, let me just give you a bit of a warning here, guys, that if I mispronounce something, then apologies for that, but I am going to do my best. So the first one is called Futon, and this is about a husband and a wife, where the husband is completely scared and he spends a lot of his time, or all of his time, in a sleeping bag, completely covered and hiding from some invisible force that only he can see. And he tells his wife about it, and he points to it, and she can't see what he sees, but basically that is what he sees. And it's a very short one, but it's very creepy. I love it so much. Next one is called Wooden Spirit, and this focuses around a father and a daughter who are in this old-fashioned Japanese house, which is their pride and joy, or the father's anyway. And one day this woman comes along and says that she loves the house and she's interested in architecture and how she wants to stay there for a period of time to actually study the house itself. But as time goes on, we find out that she loves this house a little bit too much, and it twists and transforms into something completely different. I also want to give a little bit of a warning here, guys, that this story has got a bit of nudity in it, so if that may trigger you, then be warned about that. Next one is called Red Turtleneck, and this is the same character that's on the cover of the dust jacket. And this is about a guy who cheats on his girlfriend with a fortune teller, and as a result he is cursed about having his head come off. If he doesn't hold his head on all the time, his head will come off, and it's very, very gory, and he is literally scared, and he goes to his ex to try to get some help, and it's really, really cool. I really love this story. Next one is called Gentle Goodbye, and this focuses around a family that has the ability to conjure up the spirits and ghosts of deceased relatives that have been recently deceased and put to rest, and their ghosts come back for a short amount of time, but they are neither living nor dead. They're kind of in between. They can interact with certain family members and vice versa, and most of the time they just stand and sit around not doing anything. And during a period of time, I think it's about 20 years, they actually disappear and they can never be conjured up again. And this is just a part of the grieving process for this family. And at the end, there is a bit of a twist at the end, which I really enjoyed. Next we have one which is called Dissection Chan, and this revolves around a young woman who we first find out as a girl was extremely infatuated about being dissected, or, well, not at first, having animals dissected, and then she got really obsessed about herself being dissected. And there was a boy that she was friends with, and she was trying to get him to dissect her. And then as she grew up, or actually after they both grew up, he became a doctor, and she was still obsessed about being dissected. And also, just a little bit of a warning here, guys, that this story also includes some mild nudity as well, so again, be warned about that. But this story does end up being extremely weird right at the end. Surprise, surprise, I know. Next one is called Blackbird, and this is about a man who is hiking in the woods, and he comes across this man who is lying on the ground, and he is rescued, taken to hospital, and he is telling people that he was saved by this strange woman that came to him in the woods and put her mouth over his and was feeding him all this mysterious meat and blood, kind of like a baby bird does when his mother actually feeds them. And that's some of the artwork there. And we don't know anything about this woman or why she's doing this. Well, at the time anyway. At the end, it's kind of like explained partially, but not completely. And this woman actually has wings. She can fly. So yeah, it was a very unusual story, but I enjoyed it. It was one of them weird stories that you come across while you're reading Junji Ito's work. Never expect any of this stuff to be fully explained. So if you're really lucky, you'll be surprised if some of this stuff is even partially explained, but none of this stuff is even fully explained about why this is happening, or who these creatures are, or where they came from, or their motives, or anything like that. Next one is one that I can't say, so I'm just going to show it up to the camera. That's what it's called, and that's the artwork there. That's also another staple of Junji Ito's work as well, is that he has these artwork at the beginning of every story or chapter, which is really, really nice. But this one revolves around a woman who is completely obsessed about a woman's writing style, this author, and she reenacts all these characters' traits and the way they talk in this author's books and literature. And then she goes on a quest to find this author because she's a massive fan of this author's work. But when she finds this author, it doesn't turn out how she expects it to. This woman isn't really cruel, but she's not really nice either. But she imprisons this woman in her dungeon underneath her house, where all these people are laid, or actually are imprisoned, and they all have all these different tics and things that they do, which they are completely unable to control. It's a very unusual story. It wasn't really the best, if I was going to be honest, but I thought it was a okay, fun, quirky story. Next one was one called The Whispering Woman, and let's just have a look at this. I mean, if you are a Junji Ito fan, you may have noticed this, that in a lot of his stories, you get the petite, slim girl with the China doll face and the shoulder-length dark hair, and it's kind of like a staple of characters that Junji Ito draws for our main characters. But this focuses around a young girl who is unable to make any decisions, no matter how big or small it is. She needs constant guidance and reassurance to make up her mind about what she wants to actually do. So her dad is completely at a loss about how to actually help his daughter. So he hires this woman to basically be this girl's carer, and she whispers all this stuff into this girl's ear, and as time goes on, her confidence grows, and she comes out of her shell, and she can live kind of a normal life, but with this woman on her back whispering constant stuff in her ear. And I mean, look at this. It is so beautiful. You actually can't look at that and say that that's not a beautiful piece of artwork. I mean, that's gorgeous. He's so talented, he really is. It does have a little bit of backstory for this carer, and again, trigger warning here, guys, that this has domestic abuse by the husband, because he belittles his wife, he controls his wife to an extreme level, and he even hits her. And there's a kind of a dark twist at the end. So that's basically all the stories in Fragments of Horror. Obviously, I'm going to give this a 5 stars out of 5. In conclusion, if you have never read anything by Junji Ito, or if you're into horror, I'm going to say it now, I'm going to say it every single one of these videos that I do on this guy: read his work. In my personal opinion, you cannot be a horror fan without reading at least one of this guy's work, no matter what one it is. So go and pick it up, whether it's Fragments of Horror or any of his other stuff. But do yourself a favor, guys, pick up one of his books and give it a go. And believe me, from a horror fan, you will not be disappointed. As I said at the start of this video, I am yet to be disappointed by this author. And if I was to be honest with us, I'm never going to be disappointed with Junji Ito. He can pretty much do a romantic horror novel, and I don't read romance, but I will absolutely love it. So that's it, guys. That is my review on Fragments of Horror by Junji Ito. Let me know if you have read this book. Let me know if I've maybe inspired you or encouraged you to give this book a chance, or give Junji Ito a chance. If you have any questions about Junji Ito or his work or Fragments of Horror, comment down below and I will try my best to answer your questions, or we can have a discussion about Junji Ito if you want. Let's nerd out about this wonderful author, and let's nerd out about why mangas are considered reading. So guys, with all that out the way, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.